Are you getting me? If you can, and here is, there are two eyes, and the distance between two eyes is one more eye, the third eye. So if you know these proportions, almost your portrait will come at least to the 80% of accuracy. If you can maintain these standards. And one more tip I want to give you at this moment is, whatever the portrait you draw, 80% is observation of the subject, and only 20% is implementing. That means you draw, you paint, everything you do it in 20%. But otherwise, you have to spend mostly 80% of your time in observing the subject. Generally, what we do is we just jump into, drawing, and we don't observe, we don't look at the characteristics, we don't look at the features. And when we do with the references, it is lot easier. But when you go live, and when you do live portraits, it's very, very difficult and challenging. And also, artist is under pressure when he is doing live portraits, because there is a lot of expectancy from you, to bring at least 95% of accuracy. So you will be under tremendous pressure. So that's why what you have to do is you have to observe. 80% is observe, and 20% is only you have to paint, you draw, whatever your medium you use. That is what the crux of portrait. Don't jump in. And when you have been commissioned means when someone asks you to do, a paid work, a paid portrait, then you have to spend a lot of time with the portrait, the person whom you are going to paint. So spend a lot of time with him, and try to engage in discussion, dialogue, and then you understand, how this person is, what is his background, what he used to do, and what are his strengths, and what are his, the negatives of the character. So once you understand everything, then only this, the entire portrait will come into, an expressive mode.
Sir, if you can for once,
yes,
just check with the voice, it is echoing again for everyone.
Okay. That's what I was telling you, because, once if I mute, then it's
no, sir, you're not audible. You are on mute now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but your voice is echoing, sir, again.
Now? Still okay.
Sir, it is on unmute. If you can unmute yourself again.
I don't know, it was working properly for the moment.
I guess it is clear now.
It is clear?
Yes.
So coming back, friends, if you follow these principles and practice, I'm 100% sure you people can attain at least 90% accuracy. 90% of accuracy. So go on practicing, do every day. Generally, portrait makers, they practice almost every day, every day at least they make one portrait, one practice. And this is called, when you look at a person from the straight, from on his face, it is straight, then it is called portrait. But when you look him from sideways, Let me draw. So this is called profile. The earlier one which I have shown you, that is called portrait, and this is called profile. But there is a possibility this is neither profile, neither portrait, but this can be considered as portrait. Only up to shoulder. No more. So to bring the expressions, what we need to do is to work on the skin tones, especially the skin tones, shadows, the mode of the portrait, the movement of the brush strokes, the texture, the color, and the undertones and overtones. These things matter a lot in portrait. And what I'll try to do is, I have already created a sketch for you. I'm sure it is visible very clearly. So I will paint this in watercolor. You don't need to do anything parallelly, but what I will do is I will demonstrate one session for you. And probably you can learn and you can understand how we do these things in watercolor. Meanwhile, while I mix the colors and all, Rashi, is there any questions which I can answer?
Yes, sir. I'll be just telling you the question. For once, if you can try and fix the volume because it is really echoing for everyone. And we have a question from Aishwarya that, sir, is it necessary to use Andrew Loomis structures every time we draw portraits?
See, all
Sir, you're not, you are on mute. If you can unmute yourself first.
Sir, can you please off the audio of the other device as it will not get into an echo?
We'll be fixing it. If everyone can stay on mute by the time, I'll be helping you out with the questions as well.
am I audible now?
Yes, it is perfectly audible. Please, everyone stay on mute by that time.
Yeah. So do we have any questions?
Yeah, sir. As I told
Yeah.
you, we have a question from Aishwarya that
Yeah.
do we have to use Andrew Loomis structures every time we draw portraits?
See, this is only for practice. Andrew Lewis, he has given some basic structure to understand portraits. It is not that every time, because the portrait which I am showing now will come only out of experience. Those proportions which Andrew Loomis has said. Once you practice it, then only you have to implement it. I hope my answer is clear to Aishwarya.
Yeah.
It's like theory subject. You can implement it later. You need to understand the basics, and then you start, painting. After painting at least some 10 to 15 portraits, you will understand, where are the proportions going. And suppose in this portrait, let me show you. I told the nose and the ear are same. But when you see this portrait particularly, the nose is somewhere here because his head is down. The nose is here, the end of the nose, and the ear line is here. So they are not in a straight line. But if you look at the proportions, they are same. So you need to change yourself according to the requirement of the portrait. ultimately proportions are the same, but the thing is you need to align those proportions according to the portrait. Anything else?
Sir, please tell about pencil drawings and charcoal pencils drawing.
See, pencil and charcoal drawings, those are drawings. When you those pencil and charcoal drawings, they can be completed like a painting. But when you do outlines, like I have done this outline, this cannot be called as a painting, right? This is only a drawing. You use pencil for basic drawing, but otherwise also there are lot of pencils with different colors and shades. You can use them, color pencils and all. From that also you can make portraits. But if a basic pencil you are using, that still it is considered as a drawing, not as a complete painting. Even if you go for value, when in the market, pencil drawings might go little less price than in comparison to watercolor or oils or acrylics. So you need to understand where I'm investing, what material I'm using, what medium I'm using. If you want to be a professional artist who wants to be in the business of art. Charcoal is fantastic. Charcoal is also an excellent medium, as you said. I also love doing charcoal portraits. Only thing is, suppose if you are doing a portrait of a very wise man, elderly man, you choose charcoals to do that. But if you have someone who has very live, nature, and if he or she has a high energy and all, it depends on artist on what medium he will use to portray them. Not everyone can be like, it's up to an artist. If he is well versed with the mediums, he can use anything. I use both pencil, both charcoal. I don't use oil, but charcoal, watercolor, acrylic, I use it. But it depends on the subject, whom I am painting, and who fits into that. Yes. In watercolor, this is called wet in wet technique. And wet in wet means you wet the surface. The surface is paper. You wet it, and then you apply the color, the pigment. That is called wet in wet technique. Suppose if there is a dry surface and I start painting it, then that is called wet on dry surface, wet on dry technique. So for mostly Asian portraits are very different from Western portraits because the skin color, the tone, the texture, they are all very different. So especially when I was introducing you, I was saying that the beauty of using burnt sienna in Asian portraits is amazing. Generally, we use burnt sienna for Asian portraits. I'm using a very broad brush just to save the time. And my suggestion to all of you would be, if you are all interested in making portrait as one of your genre, don't engage in taking references from Google or something else. You go do your own photography. You sit with the subject and do live. That would be more interesting, and also you will learn a lot from doing that rather than getting the reference photos and just trying to it's almost like doing a copy of it rather than understanding the entire portrait, because every portrait has a story behind, and you need to have that story for every portrait. You cannot just take references and then there are a lot of ethical issues also in taking pictures from the web. So this is the first coat. Can you see? This is the first coat of burnt sienna I have used. And this is an excellent pigment which is done by Camel. None another brand in the world can do such a beautiful burnt sienna. That is the beauty of Camel. Especially with this color, they are amazing. I'm just trying to remove the color where this old monk's hairs are visible. I'm just removing those parts. You can take any questions, Rashi. And also, if you are all serious in pursuing portrait and all in any medium, whatever it is, I strongly suggest you to take courses and don't waste your time. Otherwise, you will lose at least 5 to 6 years in just just trying to practice. So take lot of courses, try to invest, and come out with your own style of portrait making and all.
Sir, can you tell us the shade that you have just used?
This one is, I think, crimson. This one is crimson. Actually, it depends on an artist. He doesn't need to be very realistic in his approach. Suppose you want to use a blue color for his face, you can use it. The only thing is you need to bring the tonal variation. That is more important. You can use any color for any portrait making. How many of you in International Watercolor Society, IWS? Anyone? So let me introduce you IWS also. International Watercolor Society is in more than 100 countries. And it is because I am also heading one of our, the state. I am the state head of Telangana, and also I manages India profile. So it is our responsibility to promote watercolor as a medium in the country. So this is another responsibility I have. So generally, we do conduct a lot of watercolor workshops and all this.
Okay, so sir, we have a question that how much layers should artists use for realistic painting?
It depends. I can keep a loose portrait. If I start building upon, I can keep it still loose, and I can go until 6 to 7 layers. But whereas one can complete within 2 or 3 layers also. But if you are a very experienced artist, then they would stick to not more than 2-3 layers. They keep it very loose. They don't do tight work like every detail and all. They just leave it. They leave it to the pigment which can which can actually work with the paper, and it gives beautiful uh, you know shading, beautiful patterns. It That's the beauty of watercolor. Watercolor, not only painter works, even the medium also works with him. It's both sides, so it's a win-win situation. People say it is complicated, but it is not actually. People can visit my website for to look at my work, and how I do portraits and how I generally develop a body of work. My suggestion to people would be, don't just do 1 or 2 portraits and just leave it, but you engage in doing a body of work. That is very, very important in any art form, whether you are doing landscape or whether you are using any medium. Don't don't just take it as a hobby, but just build some body of work which should be useful to the society. People should see and realize that, that this person has really contributed to the field of art. These are the lighter strokes for the moment I am giving you, but later I will develop it. Wherever there is light, I am trying to leave that part, and wherever there is some little darkness, I am trying to build that. My website is www.rajkumargade.com. Very simple. You can go and visit and have a look.
So we have a question from Kiran. What is the hardest anatomical part to draw?
Artist anatomical.
What is the hardest anatomical part to draw?
In portraits, I would say that the nose, teeth, and the eye. These are the focal points of any portraits. A centimeter of your eyeball moving little here or there, entire portraits, entire behavior, it entirely gets wrong. That is very, very important. Otherwise, as a figurative part, I see the difficult part of the anatomical part would be the hands, the fingers, the legs. These are very, very important. When you go to Beijing or to Japan or on that side of the globe, it is really difficult to draw the portraits because their faces are very flat and very pale. It is really difficult to make their eyes, nose, and all. So that's why you see in Chinese painting, Chinese, or they just do a line drawing of their noses. They don't do like, they don't give shading and all because there is no shade in their faces. The beauty of Asian portraits is you get the depth of the person or the individual. The characteristics are so evident in Asian portraits. You love doing them. Once I was asked to do a portrait of a Korean lady live in front of everyone. It was really challenging because she was moving and her features were, not visible. There was no darkness. Everything was just white paper. It was really challenging. What I'm saying is, you need to understand. You need to sit with the subject and spend some time. Suddenly, someone comes and if they ask you to do portraits, it needs a lot of practice. This is a sort of loose portrait. I am putting it now. Once I have these things, already established in my. The beauty of portrait is also, this is one of another suggestion from my side, is you don't look at small details. Try to understand if you have captured the character of the person. Even if it is 90 to 80 to 90%, it is also fine. You don't need to work, very hard and do every line and dot of his face and all. You just need to pull his character. I just brought the character, that's it, here at this moment. But probably later I will, I'll sit in laser and try to build slowly the subject. Whatever the required features are there, then I will put it. And you need to understand the tonal variation. That is very, very important. You cannot have the same tones everywhere. And the problem with Indian artists is we use the colors as if it is available in the tubes or in the pans. We don't try to mix the pigment. So there is never a color, straight color, except in floral. So you need to bring in, 2, 3 colors and then mix them, work with them, and put it. Generally, when you go to Western world, people ask why Indian paintings are so bright and colorful. Only problem is, we just take the colors from the tubes and then we start applying it, but we don't work with them. We don't mix with them. Rashi, any questions?
So for as of now, we do not have any questions. And Lucky is showing his portrait on the screen. If you can check it for once. And Lucky, maybe we can take that in the very end. We'll definitely see your painting.
I didn't use many colors. I just used 3 to 4 colors. That's nothing much. Let it dry. Use a smaller number brush, especially 1 or 2 for doing the clear. don't try to do realistic, like, as a photograph. It doesn't actually have value. People will appreciate, but it doesn't uh, bring recognition or a sort of appreciation for an artist, because when we have the tool as camera, we don't need to work like a camera. It is the artist who has to bring his own interpretation and expression on the portraits, and not just trying to do realistic one. I would prefer not to do realistic one. Just indulge in your own way of doing it. Use your own colors, use your own interpretation. If you look at the great artists around the world, you're not like super. You don't see super realistic. They're all come out of experience, and everyone has their own expression. That's how an artist is. He has to express his own self using whatever the medium it is. I'm just letting the face to dry so that I apply the darker coats. The beauty of watercolors, I have observed personally, these actually, the pigments and all, they change for even, they are under constant change for 1 2 days. Your portraits also changes in 1 or 2 days, because the pigment actually work with the cotton in the paper, and so it changes dramatically and gives beautiful expression. Yeah, still basic strokes I'm doing, but later shading I will do later. I'm using burned upper here. See, there is a bulb formation, it is called cabbage. This you won't get it in oil or any other meat. If you sprinkle water in one in segment, it gives amazing, beautiful. See on the right side. See here. On a background, it looks amazing, beautiful. And also one more tip I wanted to give, those who are pursuing very serious. I don't know how many of you have the interest in watching the performing arts, especially the dance forms, Kathak, Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, anything, any dance form, because they express only through their legs, hands, and their face, especially face. So they have very limited options. They cannot speak on the dais. So they have to express it through face. So what they do is they have these bhavas in Indian art literature. Bhava means the emotion or the feeling. So they bring those feelings onto their face through their eyes, through the face, and through their hands movements, and also their legs. So if you look at them, they give you almost more than 32 bhavas. There are more than 32 bhavas in Indian literature. So they don't, especially for portrait artists, at least you should know 8 to 10, these bhavas. So when you are in anger, how your face looks like. When you are in a jovial mode, how it looks. How does the eyes, how does your mouth, how does your nose, it differs. So if you understand these bhavas, it's so easy for a portrait artist to give an expression. So I would request, when you see dance forms and all, you will feel, how beautiful these expressions can be brought onto the paper, onto the canvas. Recently, one of our Padma Shri Kathak dancers, he passed away. Uh, his name was Pandit Birju Maharaj. He was a master of expression. If you see the good dance forms, especially Diwani Mastani and all Madhuri Dixit, the beautiful numbers for all choreographed by him and Saroj Khan. The beauty is they bring the expression in the dance form. That is what the painter has to do. He has to also capture the expression of the subject, the character. So if you are all interested, then you should all work on literature also. You can see how I am building the tonal variation. I am keeping it very loose for the moment because generally a portrait will take a lot of time to build. In half an hour it is difficult, but still we will try to work out. This is a loose form. I am trying to build just the expression, the character of that face. So Rashi, we are almost near to an hour. Would you like to introduce the course and all?
Yes.